Ladies and gentlemen, nuclear war seems like it is back on the cards now, but this time with the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into this video, because there is so much that I need to get out there, I can't believe what's happened in the last 7 days, but please hit the buttons down below, the like, the subscribe button, the notification bell to let you guys know when I'm doing a new video. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to be like this I told you so guy, but go back and look at my earliest videos, maybe even certainly from last year, but I think from 23. I've been saying that the United States and the United Kingdom are going to make this split. I've said they're going to do a diversions. I've said the United States will focus on the Middle East, having an invasion, a boots on the ground invasion of Iran, March 2026. And I said that the United Kingdom would lead in NATO against the Russians in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Kind of all happening right now. And a lot of people are saying, oh, we're never going to, World War III is not coming, it's all scaremongering. Well, what would your metric for, what would that metric for World War III be? Would you have to have somebody blow a whistle and tell you? Would you have to have a broadcast from the mainstream media to tell you? Or would you just look at the mass amount of human life that is being lost on a daily basis? This is not just, it's not just in Ukraine. It's not just in the Middle East. All over the world, there's skirmishes breaking out now. It's absolutely insane. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, hit the buttons down below. The like, follow, and subscribe button really helps me out when you guys do that. So, without further ado, let's just get on. Where are we going to go to first? Let's go to Ukraine, and let me give you guys the share map and show you what show you guys. Sorry, I forgot to talk then. Show you guys the situation on the ground in Ukraine. Again, this is from the 11th of last month, so just over a month ago, just under a month ago, I guess. I'm going to fast forward now, and I want you to watch these two key areas, Pokrovsk and Valyeka Novosilka, and consider if you was in a chess match and this was your board and you was taking this many pieces, this much ground on a daily basis. Would you be in the mood for a ceasefire? Absolutely not. From what I'm hearing, the Russians are taking 20 square kilometers per day. Just contextualize that, guys. Now, I know it doesn't seem much, these little pushes, but if you look at this front line, this front line is absolutely huge. Ladies and gentlemen, there's not been anything like this since the Second World War. There really hasn't. This conflict is going to be, it's absolutely unbelievable. People try to contextualize and think, oh, it's like Afghanistan. Oh, it's like Iraq. There was an invasion of Iraq. Yes, there was an invasion of Iraq, but I think the Iraqis gave up after, 21 days of ground fighting. The Iraqis just surrendered. This has been going on since 2014. And just look at the amount of Russian troops built up in this area. There's a huge front line that's almost impossible to, it's almost impossible to fathom the amount of ground that's been taken each and every day. So what's been happening in Ukraine then? Let me just give you, from Politico, UK takes leadership role of Biden era Ukraine military aid. Another article here, UK handled leadership role in Ukraine defense group as US pulls back. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've been saying this for the longest time. I've been telling you guys what's coming. I've been telling you guys it's on the cards. It's on its way. It's happening now. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you what I think the next steps is going to be. There's all this talk about peace negotiations or a ceasefire. It's just not going to happen. Do you know why it's not going to happen? Because Vladimir Putin is taking 20 square kilometers each and every day like clockwork. Why would you settle on X when you could, why would you settle on, X when you could have literally the whole alphabet, which is what's happening. The Ukrainians at the moment don't have the capacity. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the equipment. They don't have the funding to push these guys back. Another thing that I said as well long ago, I said Trump will pull funding from Ukraine. Well, guess what? Trump has already pulled funding from Ukraine. He's pulled this by stopping I'm not sure how much of this funding will go back, but certainly from my sources on the ground in Ukraine, those guys who work for NGOs, they're telling me that a lot of their funding was from USAID. And that funding now, it's in the air. Nobody knows what's happening. A lot of those projects are looking like they're going to get closed down. And this is not war fighting projects. This is humanitarian aid, rebuilding, infrastructure projects. A lot of that funding has been shut down, or it's imminently going to get shut down. Now, the news that the United Kingdom are going to take the lead role. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I've told you why this is going to happen, because the United Kingdom have that strike capacity. The United Kingdom have the capacity. They have the troops that can push forwards and take ground. That's kind of where you need to lead. You can only lead from the front, ladies and gentlemen. There's no other, there's no other way around it. So let's quickly go now to the Middle East. What's been happening in the Middle East? This is a fantastic article, guys. I'll put all these in the description. Revoke fatwa against nuclear weapons. Iranian commanders tell Ayatollah. Iran must have nuclear bombs to survive. Supreme leader told in extraordinary intervention by the regime's military leaders. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, all these things that happen, it's all pomp and circus. This is just, it is pomp and circus. The Ayatollah will have told the military leaders to tell him, because guess what? The Ayatollah probably wants to, redevelop their nuclear weapons. Now, from this article here, it kind of looks to me like the Iranians are saying that they need to develop nuclear weapons because of the threat of the United States, and the United States are saying they need to, what did he say, Donald Trump? Hang on. Trump says he prefers a nuclear deal with Iran rather than bombing the hell out of it. US president says Tehran will really be happy with a potential pact, as Revolutionary Guard reportedly tells the Ayatollah atomic weapons needed to counter existential threat from the West. So do you actually see now, ladies and gentlemen, the absolute absurdity of the situation here out in the world at the moment? We have got the Middle East at the moment. It's just absolutely insane. And I'll come on to the Gaza, what's happening with Gaza in a moment. But we've got the Iranians now saying that they need nuclear weapons to protect themselves from Donald Trump. And Donald Trump saying, if you guys get nuclear weapons, we're going to bomb the hell out of you. So, which way do they go? How does that situation end without that, without those things happening? Now, it's interesting that Donald Trump's saying bomb the hell out of them. I would, again, ladies and gentlemen, I've got no other knowledge about this. I've got zero inside knowledge on this. This is my own speculation, but I would speculate that after 2003, the invasion of Iraq, the Iranians watched what was happening in Iraq and thought, right, we have no answer to the air power that the United States can bring to bear. We have no answer to that at all. So what I would suggest they have done, any nuclear facilities, any missile producing facilities, anything of any value will have been put deep underground where these airstrikes can't touch them. And as a Brucey bonus, in the north of Iran, there are lots of mountainous regions. I would speculate that a lot of these deep underground military bases are deep underneath mountains where you would have to take down the mountain first. And even if you and again, even as absurd as that sounds, even if you can get some sort of air capacity in there and you can see the entry point, the reality is the actual base could be 20, 30 miles away from that, because that's just the entry point. The Iranians have had over 20 years to get their stuff underground. Imagine the length of tunnels that you could dig with the state-sponsored project, basically an unlimited budget and 20 years. So you would dig in at the base of the mountain or in a non-disclosed place. You would dig in, you would get all your tractors, your bulldozers, your diggers, all your machinery. You would dig that in first, and then you would slowly dig your passageways, dig your tunnels deep, far away from where anybody actually knows where they are. And that's where you would have your nuclear, your nuclear weapons, your long-range missiles, all that stuff that you want to keep out of the range of the US airstrikes. Now, this is why if the United States are serious, and I believe they are because they wrote it into their law in November 23, if they are serious about stopping Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon, then they need boots on the ground. There's no other way to do it, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot do this from the air. It's impossible. And then you've got to look at the regional partners. Look at Israel. Okay, right, we've got Israel in that region. Israel have some good aircraft. The problem with Israel's aircraft is they don't have that range. Oh, but Sean, they're F-35s and they've got air-to-air refueling. Yes, they do, but the Israelis don't have the refueling aircraft in sufficient numbers to be able to go over to Iran at scale. And this is what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Now, at scale. Yes, you can conduct, isolated raids, but, with limited numbers, you have limited success, obviously. So what I think would happen and what I think is going to happen with this Gaza announcement, first of all, when Donald Trump, listen, and I need to caveat this, every time I talk about Donald Trump, if I was American, I would have voted for Donald Trump. I think what he's doing, I do believe he's putting Americans first, and I think every world leader should put their country first, and you get the leader you elect. Now, with Donald Trump's announcement about moving into Gaza, do we expect that the Palestinians are just going to accept that and they're just going to say, oh, okay, America's going to move in and they're going to do a real job with our land? Do we think the Palestinians are going to accept that? Or do you think there's going to be potential conflict in that region, dragging Americans into that conflict? And then as soon as you start to see Americans come home in body bags, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The beast is unleashed. Guys, listen, lots of things I've been talking about over the last, year, they've all just happened in the space of a week. You've now got the United Kingdom taking the lead in Ukraine. Remember, they have to take the lead in Ukraine. And none of NATO need to be involved none of Europe need to be involved with this conflict in the Middle East. If anything, it makes sense. It's better if they don't get involved, because what would happen is, as an additional factor, there's a huge demographic of Middle Eastern gentlemen, shall we say, in Europe at the moment. And if there was an active direction of the Europeans getting involved in the Middle East, then there'd be mass protests, mass civil unrest on the streets of those, of those towns, of those cities, of those places. So the fact that the Europeans, led by the United Kingdom, have left and are diverting away from the Middle East, there's a lot of reasons, but that's another reason why that has to happen. Another reason why it makes no sense, it makes zero sense at all for the Europeans to get involved with a conflict in the Middle East, is because they can't. The United States have all the air power, they have all the naval power, they have all the amphibious assault ships, they have all the capacity to go into Iran. And if there was other nations helping them, they wouldn't really be helping. They'd just be getting in the way. The United States will be under one control, one command, one leadership role, and one direction. So if you consider as well the amount of stuff that you're going to need to take to have a ground invasion of Iran, that would be, just consider that the invasion of Iran took 600,000 troops. I would say you need a similar number. Just imagine the food, water, diesel, petrol, generators, everything, vehicles, that you need to, ammunition, that you need to support 600,000 soldiers. The United States already have that. I mean, what would Britain provide if they were to go there? We don't have any amphibious capacity. We have 2 aircraft carriers that kind of don't work. We don't have anything that we can put to that party. But what we do have, and what Britain and the United Kingdom have done, and now it kind of makes total sense. What the United Kingdom do have in abundance is a highly trained military. And if you think of the whole of Europe now as one army, then the United Kingdom would provide the special forces from that, because, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, Britain have the best strike capacity in that region, in that group. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to mag to grid, and I'll get you guys another video later.